And welcome to another episode of Quiet Please, the Golf Podcast. It is Tuesday evening, September 10th. We are recording, and I got a little activity here in my Philadelphia market. A lot of media. They're all in town talking left, they're talking right. I thought they were talking about my golf game, but we will dive into that a little bit more. We appreciate everyone listening as always. Wherever you take in your podcast, please reach over there, hit a subscribe, give us a 5-star like, or check out our new YouTube channel. I'm joined, as always, by our illustrious panel of experts here, starting to my right, wearing old school Patriot colors, known as Boston Bob Baldessari. We like to call him Bourbon Bob now. Hello, Bobby.
Going to the Super Bowl. It's done. One
Oh,
game.
they
We
were
just
they
know.
were impressive. That was a big game, big game.
Can't win them all if you don't win the first one, right, Bob?
Can't birdie 18 holes if we don't birdie the first hole.
To my lower left, the prettiest podcaster in golf, our little D1 golfer, Christian Nazamus. Hello, young man.
What's up? How are you? And also, go Birds. Enough of
Yes,
this Patriots
I will
crap
have to. Hey,
in
I might
here.
save that for my final thought and tell you where I was watching that game on Friday night.
I love my boys, but go Birds.
And the ever-present one, the golfing savant from Houston, also wearing Patriots colors, Mr. Andy Hydorn. You brought some friends to round out our panel.
Yes, we do have some friends, and first, I'm way more impressed that Christian made 2 weeks in a row. That might be a new record here.
He's on a roll.
Don't
Yeah.
hold your breath. All right.
So we're super excited this week. We have a couple of great guests from Sportsbox Ai, both of which are friends of mine, which I'm very proud to say. Chris Ray. Chris and I go back a long way. We've known each other for a long time. Played a lot of basketball together. We worked together. We've done a lot of training, a lot of great things. He's one of the finest sales professionals in the golf industry. And he's brought with him Jeehae Lee, who is the founder and president CEO of Sportsbox AI, which is the coolest technology you guys will ever see. It's basically the ability for a simple smartphone video. The technology turns it into a biomechanical output that displays all sorts of data that's just unbelievable. And we'll let Jeehae and Chris talk a little bit more about that. Jeehae's, I mean, she's one of the most impressive people in this golf industry. Talk about golfing savant. Jeehae played on the LPGA tour for a little while. She was with Top Golf in its sort of beginning stages as they developed into the monster they are today. Before she came on and founded Sportsbox AI. So Jeehae and Chris, welcome. And one quick thing that we need to get out on the table, there's a little elephant in the room here that needs to be addressed. About 18, 20 months ago, our host here, Alan, was put on the Sportsbox app by yours truly. And it spit out this just incredible number that
Really?
keeps getting
Okay.
talked about on every show that we have. That Alan turns
You
his
do
chest
realize I
up.
have the ability to mute you.
His 69-degree chest turn, and I'm going to ask for you. Alan wants to know if you guys have developed a technology that has a little limber mode to it where you can add a few degrees to some of your numbers to make them look like he's moving a little bit more. No?
To juice your turn numbers, like you juice your like club speed, ball speed.
Exactly.
No, unfortunately, Dr. Phil Cheatham, our chief science officer, doesn't believe in juicing by mechanical numbers. We just state the facts, and maybe you should go stretch a little, maybe help you.
Hey, they roast me, but come on, right out of the gate. That was
Hey,
jugular.
stretching is good for you, and it'll improve the quality of life, not just your golf game and your golf swing. So, yeah, highly recommended.
I tried, Alan. I tried.
I was just looking for the cheat codes from like PlayStation or something like that.
Yeah.
It's even in our charts. Is it, Jeehae, 69 degrees? I don't think we go that low.
No, the lowest we've measured, I mean, at least among professional golfers, is like Tony Finau at 75.
Oh, there you
That's
go.
not bad.
Ballpark.
There you go.
You're in the ballpark.
And
Yeah.
he's got incredible lag also, by the way, Andy.
Do you have incredible lag to match your low turn?
I do.
Oh, okay. There you go. You're matched
Just
up.
just like John Rahm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Kristen, did you hear that? I'm like John Rahm.
Maybe with the flat
Same
stick.
Same exact person, same number of trophies, majors, all of it.
Absolutely. I've got
Impressive.
No, I don't have any.
It might take you 4 shots to get to his drive, but you are with the flat stick though. You could take him head to head with a flat stick.
Hey, well, that blends right into, and our other co-host could not make it. He's watching the rainfall in Orlando right now, but he actually wants us to ask a question. I'm speaking obviously of Brendan Elliott, golfing teacher extraordinaire. Can the AI applications or Sportsbox AI, can that be adapted to chipping and putting? Well, I don't need putting, do I, Christian? But anyway, on shorter shots, can it be adapted to that? Or why don't you just elaborate a little bit on Sportsbox itself?
Yeah, I'm happy to take the lead on that. So Sportsbox, I still haven't quite figured out an elegant, one sentence description of what we do. Other than what we do is measure the movement so that we can talk about the golf swing, not in terms of what we see and how we feel, but in how it measures, so that everybody can be on the same page about what's happening when we are talking about the golf swing. So taking a video and turning it into pieces of data like inches and degrees so that you no longer have to say, hey, I'm not turning enough. Well, what's enough? What's enough for you may look different to another person, may feel different to another person. So we're able to give 69 degrees of measurement instead of saying not enough. So that's really the core of what we do. Can we measure the motion for chipping and putting? Absolutely. We just made a conscious decision to really focus on the full golf swing for now. But yeah, we will for sure move on to the shorter golf swings and putting.
So Jeehae, I have a question for you. And you guys have been at this for a while. And I know that you've gone through a bunch of learnings as this thing has developed. But what has been the biggest surprise measurement, if you will, that seems to correlate to a common denominator of some of the best golf swings out there?
Oh man. Chris, I don't know if anything jumps out at you, but I think the surprise is like not a common denominator, but how different the golf swings are. Really, there are just so many different ways to be an elite golfer. Something that has struck us in our work with Bryson DeChambeau recently is, what we did with Bryson was we've recorded thousands of his golf swings now, between early June when we started working directly with him, and now we've collected thousands of his golf swings, drivers, irons, everything. And on the back end, besides what you see in the app, there's like a whole bunch of other things that we measure and collect data on. And we're looking at this, imagine like a huge spreadsheet of like all of his swings and like all of the data points that we measure. The shocking thing in his swing was how consistent all of these variables were. Every single data point that we measure on his swing, the movement dispersion, or I guess you can call it repeatability, is incredibly tight. It was almost robotic. Like he hit the same number for every single swing with the same club, right? Like driver versus iron, slightly different. But if he had a driver in his hand, like I could almost like call out a number and like I would know that he would hit it. That was the most like amazing thing in working with professionals.
Yeah, and Jeehae, you've seen too with all the professional swings, there's that recentering, right? So as soon as they get to the top, no matter how much they sway back or what their turn is, there's a recentering and then there's a load towards the golf ball, and that is consistent with all the good swings that we see.
Yeah. That's something we call a tracker truth. So like 100% of elite players, not just pros, but like people who are really good at hitting the golf ball, they're 100% of them that's ever been measured in a 3D device, whether it's ours or other, others, they move back towards the target before they get to the top.
Bobby,
Yeah, well,
you're a teacher of the game.
yeah, I teach quite a bit, always have, and love history. So this is kind of a two-part question. If you and Chris want to split this up, Jeehae, but I'm glad you made the mention that there's a lot of different ways to swing the club, because I think people try to think there's one way, try to think there's some magical way. Everybody's got a different way. So just helping somebody to find their own swing, make their own swing, their own swing is a good thing, which I like. But because I'm the history buff here, but is there any application where you could look at Hogan's or Hagen's or Jones or anybody's swing in the past and have any kind of correlation to, in the past, XYZ is working in the present day? Anything that overlaps?
Yeah, so we do have the ability to process a video from way back. As long as they were taken in slow-mo, we're able to process it and get the data on it. I think the things that are consistent throughout is things like sequencing. So like you'll never like a movement that looks athletic and graceful and fluid, they all start from the lower body to the upper body to the arm to the club. Like that is 100% true for all swings that has ever been measured. And that's what makes it look athletic, I think. I think, there are consistencies in like, hey, at impact position, like where the club is being delivered, the lower body is more open than the upper body for all professional golfers. That's also another like 100% truth. The upper body tends to be slightly behind the lower body, varying degrees depending on your matchups, but definitely slightly behind, like the center of mass of the upper body is behind the lower body at impact position, even with irons. So those are the commonalities, whether you're swinging the club 100 years ago or not.
You just dress different now.
Speaking of 100 years ago, let me ask you a question, because to go back to your point, flexibility has, in analysis, analyzing an older golfer versus a younger golfer, is there any, what are you laughing about, Andy? Just because you can outplay me every single day of the week, you both are still older than me. So
Somebody's feeling attacked.
I'm scarred. I have scar tissue. So my serious question, can you measure the flex? I mean, can you measure the impact of age? Obviously it's numeric. So you could see the aging effect on somebody's game. Is accurate, inaccurate?
Oh yeah.
Stupid question. I mean, I'll just.
Oh yeah. Not a stupid question at all.
Okay.
And in fact, even within the same person, so I'm going to bring up Bryson again, just because I know more about his golf swing than my own. It's crazy. So even with the same person, US Open, Wednesday, Thursday, like Thursday, he had an afternoon round. He was fully warmed up, loose. Friday, he had a 7 a.m. tee time, like early morning tee time, where he probably was a little stiffer, like got out of bed and like tried to move and get stretched out by his trainer, but like probably not how his body felt at 2 p.m., Thursday afternoon. So something we noticed was he was hunched over more out of dress, even out of dress. Like before the swing started, he was like his chest forward bend number was more hunched over out of dress on Friday versus Thursday. So like for sure, like depending on what side of the bed you got up on or how you stretched or how you felt that day, like you definitely, that'll show up in your golf swing. A really typical one for an older golfer versus younger one, we talk about early extension a lot. And that's where like you start like straightening up your body in the downswing instead of staying in flexion throughout the downswing. And that happens because older golfers generally don't have the flexibility along the left side of their body to like extend through the left side body and their leg in order to deliver the club. And instead of extending to the side, like creating a little bit of side bend and whatever, they just get up. And so those are the things that we would see. Side bend numbers are very different. Knee flexion impact would be very different. Early extension, so pelvis thrust forward and backwards look very different for older golfers versus younger golfers.
Jeehae, on the topic of Bryson, since you were with him at the U.S. Open and the Open Championship, two different climates, two different temperatures. Do you want to give your experience with him at the Open Championship and what he had to do with his equipment?
Oh yeah. Thanks for that, Leah. No, so Bryson, like a normal human being. So, Alan, I'm gonna put you in the not normal human being category. So an average adult golfer who is able to move normally would get about 90 degrees of turn at the top. That would be like a pretty full turn, right? And the LPGA Tour player gets to about 100 or low hundreds. Bryson, at the top of his swing, he gets up to 115 plus. Like he's a freak. And that was his number at the US Open. Pioneer's super warm, like warm climate, body's loose. He was getting to 115 or sometimes even greater than that with his driver. We get to the Open Championship and it's cold, it's 50 degrees, it's a little chilly, he's got multiple layers on. He wasn't getting to 110. Like he was like 106, 107, like just like not moving as much. So we definitely saw that. But we showed him that data. He's like, okay, like my trainer needs to, loosen me up a little bit different. I need to feel more like aggressive in the backswing to get to the numbers that allows me to operate at my best. So we were working on that earlier in the week. Come Thursday, he has a horrible round and he comes back and takes an interview and they say, Bryson, what is it? Is it your swing? And he's like, no, my swing's perfect. My swing's great. I'm like, what is it? Like, you didn't play very well today. And he's like, I think it's my equipment. They're like, oh no, not this again. Right? He's like, no, I believe that, the ball and club head combo that I have optimized my game for is optimized for, like 180, 190 plus ball speed, which I'm comfortable generating in normal warm conditions. But here, the ball just doesn't have enough like heat to like have that kind of speed, even with the same swing speed. And so it's got to be the ball. Like I'm gonna go and figure this out after this interview. So he goes to the truck and like gets like 7 different kinds of golf balls of varying different like I guess you call them hardball, softball, whatever, right? Just lay them out.
The shore D of the golf ball.
Yeah. And he starts hitting them, with his quad out there, hitting them one after the other. He's like, yeah, see, like this softer ball than the one that I played is performing differently. It's got more curve to it. I'm able to turn it over more because I am able to like spin it, with the lower ball speed. And he goes, guys, feel these balls, feel my balls, look at these balls, feel them, they're so different. And so the running joke after that has become, feel my balls.
Right.
Thankfully, I wasn't there. It was an all-male audience. So
That's
yeah.
why Christian's starting to warm up to Bryson.
It is.
Yeah. Well, Bryson's hilarious. And like he was absolutely right. Like you take that story to anybody who's in equipment and they'll tell you he's definitely got a point there. He's playing a club head that's made for long drive competitors and the ball that's like made to perform with that kind of a club speed and ball speed. And in that environment, that's just not the right fit. So he definitely had, like he's a smart dude. Like he knows what he's talking about.
So can I shift gears on this for a second, away from 69-degree shoulder turn, and we can focus on other things? Like, let's say someone has a cadet, wears a cadet small glove and is built more like Ben Hogan. And does that have any factor? I mean, let's say a little guy to my lower left on my screen. I mean, he hits it a mile, but is that just because, again, that he's young and flexible and
That helps. That certainly helps.
Yeah. So for sure, if you have a more able body, it helps.
Christian, you want to chime in at all? You've been sitting there quietly.
I got small hands, dude. I'm 160 pounds soaking wet. I mean, I hit the ball 300 yards. I don't know what you want me like. I got no comment.
I
on
bet
that.
I bet the numbers bear it out though. Right?
Yeah.
I bet
Probably.
there's evidence in your biomechanical numbers that explain why you do.
We got to get Alan and Christian on the app and just compare the two and see the different turn numbers and the different, all the sway and all the
So it's
things
going
that
to be
go
like
in.
that ESPN blind quarterback. We're going to have.
Sports science.
Whose is whose? Which swings is whose?
Yeah. So
Um,
I got a question for you guys, and for those who know, the instruction world is super catty and competitive, and with a twisted jealousy in there. And because Sportsbox is the type of technology that's really revolutionized the way people are now able to coach the game. I know I've seen it, I've heard it, I've witnessed it that you guys get attacked a lot on the accuracy of the data that the app produces. Can you talk a little bit about um, the accuracy and the ability for Sportsbox to put out numbers that are truly what they say they are?
yeah, I mean, the the fact that Dr. Phil Cheatham, who built his entire career in 3D biomechanics, he literally built the most trusted 3D systems in the game of golf with his bare hands, right? And when we first approached him, he was like, there's no way you can do what you claim you can do. But he bought in and he quit his job at the US Olympic team to join us full time. Like, because he believed, like he saw with his own eyes, like what we could do. And he is, I mean, Andy, you know this, he is the biggest stickler for accuracy. And every single time we retrain our AI models or 2D and 3D, like we're comparing our numbers against AMM every single time. And we are, I'm not making things up. Like when we talk about accuracy, there are two things. There's how similar your numbers are versus a existing system with its own set of inherent flaws. So there's equivalency, and then there's consistency within the system, which is a slightly different thing. So like if you compare like TrackMan versus Foresight, like each system has its own, pros and cons and flaws in its system. Like neither of those are what we would call perfectly accurate, right? Like neither of them can exactly measure what is happening to the ball downrange, right? But I mean, we like to think that we always like to say, Foresight is our trusted partner and we believe in their data. But each system has its own flaws. Same thing with AMM, same thing with, other multi-camera systems, they have their own flaws. What matters is if you turned 2 degrees more, does it show 2 degrees more turn? Like, is it consistent within its own system to show the difference in the movement? That's what really counts. And in both equivalency and consistency, Sportsbox is right there, on equal plane as AMM. And that's something we're really, really proud of.
Yeah,
I
and to add to
sometimes
that, the validation that we've gotten from PGA Tour, Bryson, I mean, obviously he wouldn't trust us if the data wasn't correct to help him win, US Open. And we're getting more and more interest and requests from other tour players, which, we'll announce when that happens. But our accuracy is not being questioned by the best of the best golfers out there. So, we're hearing less and less of those comments, Andy, because I think the general coaching public is starting to believe more so that we actually do have accurate numbers and it can be done.
Sometimes
Chris,
I wish Phil wasn't such a nice guy. And like on social media, he takes it and it's just sometimes furious to
It's
to
too
see
too
things like
classy.
that.
And
Yeah.
Very
usually,
classy.
like, we don't address these things because usually the people who are talking about these things, like, they don't know what they're talking about. They didn't do any proper experiments, like, and if you were to ask them, like, what do you mean by accuracy, they wouldn't even know how to answer that question. So, like, we're like, let them talk, and if they really want to use AMM or gears, like, no one's stopping them. Go ahead, like, we're not stopping you.
hey, Chris, in our audience, besides Tiger and Scotty, and I'm sure Jordan, the guys, and
Yeah, all the guys watching,
yeah,
right?
sure. But our audience more composed of the avid amateur golfer. If that person says, "Hey, I want to do this," take us along step one, step two. How does this thing move? How does somebody what's the first thing they do?
Yeah, first thing is they would download our app, right? Find the app with us or on the App Store, and what the first step is to record your golf swing. So you get into the app, you record your swing, you set up a tripod, a G-Pod that we have a great partnership with, and record the golf swing face on, about belt high, and take your swing. And then you take the swing, you trim it down to just when the swing starts and when the swing ends. You hit our little button that shows the 2D, it generates the 2D video, and then automatically goes into our 3D analysis from there. And at that point, the golfer will see both the 2D and the 3D screen side by side. And the 3D will have the ability to rotate 360 degrees. There's dozens of trackers and indicators that we can analyze on the app itself. So you can choose what trackers you want to see in your golf swing, from pelvis turn, chest turn, sways, lifts, all the things that go into the golf swing. So you choose your trackers. You can see at any point in the golf swing where your numbers are. You can compare those numbers to the average on the PGA Tour or the average on the LPGA Tour, depending on your gender. And you can see just where you are compared to the best of the best swings in the game. So that's kind of where you start the process with. A lot of our golfers that use the app have coaches that have the app as well. So those coaches can interact with those students, obviously during the lesson and show the analysis, but also in between lessons too. So there's remote coaching aspect of the app as well. So lots of great features and lots of great uses for the app that helps the lesson experience, helps the amateur golfer just trying to practice on their own. It's a really cool experience and something that's never really been done before, with just using your iPhone, your iPad, and just point and shoot and let's go.
So respectfully, Chris, if let's say Andy shot that not at belt high, it was slightly off, would that have varied the numbers at all?
So within a few degrees up or down or side to side, the numbers don't change, that we've seen. But if it's, 10 degrees off from the center, we'll see a couple degrees of turn difference. But yeah. But general like good practice, best practice, just as with just your normal video, like you want to try to be consistent video to video.
It looks like there's an inside joke between this team there.
No, it's not. It's fully on the outside, believe me.
Do explain.
No, it's all about Alan, Chris. It's about that 69 degrees.
Quickly come to realize that.
I will tell you that probably 90% of the shows that we do, and we record once a week, we mention 69-degree Alan like all the time.
He's never gonna live it down. And he's blaming it on the camera angle, is he?
Well, he's trying. You just shot that down pretty good, but
Yeah.
Oh, now we got Christian who can talk about Bryson's balls. So
yeah.
we got that going for us now also.
I mean, with a different camera angle, you might get 68 degrees. So
Yeah.
You're killing me.
Just didn't have enough bourbon that night.
Yeah. So just to expand a little bit too on, you know, this is obviously a product that can be useful for coaches as well as students. Um, and I think as you pay attention to what's going on out there in the coaching world, like so many coaches, and I think, one of the features that you just added that you might want to talk about a little bit with the studio piece, has probably made a nice dent in what you've been doing with the coaches. But talk a little bit about the differences in use from like what a student can do on their own, if anything, versus, working with a coach.
So for us, what I mean, I come from a golfing back. We all come from a golfing background. I've hit more than 1 million golf balls in my life. I've taken thousands of hours of golf lessons. And the pain point that I felt as a golfer trying to get better was I would take a lesson, great, feel great. I know what I'm doing. The coach is, okay, a little more of this, a little less of this. Oh, great. Like do that more and then come back to me in a week. And I would leave the lesson and go to the range and try to replicate what I was doing with the coach, but without the feedback from a coach on whether I was doing the right thing or not doing the right thing. And so I would hit a couple good shots, like as a continuation of the lesson, be like, okay, I must be doing the right thing, feel more of this, feel less of this. And then I would hit a funny shot, be like, oh my God, what did I do wrong? Like, was it my shoulders? Was it my whatever? Like, and then I would start like spiraling. Like I would go on a search to try to like feel what I did in the beginning of the practice session. And then often I would leave it being like, okay, I have no idea what I'm doing. And that's a really common, like every single one of you guys probably know exactly what that feels like. And it's because great, instructors are amazing when they're there to give you the feedback. But you need a set of eyes if you want every practice swing to count, right? Like every minute of your practices to count so that you don't sit there and beat 500 golf balls searching. Instead, every swing you make, you should either know that you did the right thing or you did not and you need to make a correction. And that is the value of measuring your swing during practice through Sportsbox. So for coaches, it's an assessment tool, it's an analysis tool, and it's a communication tool so that you're not talking about, what you want the student to fix and, subjective language. Instead, you're saying 5 inches or 5 degrees or whatever that's clear to everybody. And for the golfers, you're also getting a pair of eyes so that there's immediate feedback. You can take 20 swings in your practice and get a really efficient 15-minute session done versus 500 balls over 2 hours and breaking your wrist doing it.
Yeah, and the great thing too is that connection point between the student and the coach. Because like Jeehae said, when she would go off on her own, she wouldn't have contact really with the coach for that week or whatever the time was in between lessons. But when you have Sportsbox, when the student and the coach both have Sportsbox, student goes home, goes to the range, practices every swing that student takes within our app goes right to the coach, and the coach gets notified that your student is taking a swing, so that coach can see what that student is doing and see that progress they're making, or see if they're coming off track. They can do remote lessons in between, and it's just a really cool connection point that keeps that student engaged with the coach and keeps that student coming back to the coach because there's just that relationship and connection point with using the app.
Yeah, I think that's a great point because, you both talked about it, but the feel that you get when you're first changing something is so fleeting, but the numbers aren't, right? As the feeling changes, the benchmarking of what you worked on is so important because, the feel will change, the numbers don't.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
like if you're basing your entire performance or like improvement on a feel, then you're just chasing something that's never going to be permanent. So like that's a very, very common example. If you are trying to create more turn or less sway, like I don't want to slide as much. Like how many times if you work on something, let's say you have a great drill and you're trying to feel something and you end up overdoing it, right? Because if you constantly try to create more turn, more turn, more turn, or like less sway, less sway, less sway, then at some point you're going to overdo it. But if you're just trying to get to 4 inches, the 4 inches that's not a goalpost that moves. It's 4 inches every single day of the year, wherever you're taking that golf swing. So
Yeah,
we
and a real cool feature too that we have is called swing monitor mode. And say you get three parameters that your coaches really want you to work on. You go back and you start practicing. You put those three parameters on your screen as goals, and the swing monitor mode, facing at you, you take a swing, and it shows you exactly what those degrees or inches are in those three parameters right after the swing. So you can take a swing, see what you did, take a swing, see what you did, so you know the numbers and you can start honing in that feel, based on the numbers you're seeing, that immediate feedback.
Yeah, it's almost like a motor learning tool. Like you're calibrating your brain based on data-driven feedback. So, you're much more aware and in tune with your body parts instead of kind of, yeah.
You're basically eliminating the emotion of the game in the sense of I mean, we've all been there. You're one swing away from playing really well, or you're one swing away from playing like crap. I mean, and this keeps you. I'm Yeah, maybe made a bad swing, but where does it fall on the parameters if I'm understanding what you're saying? And it was just one bad swing, and we maybe the next swing is going to be back on par with where your golf pun there, with what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
Right. And a lot of coaches too, when they have their students, their student, is striping the ball, right? And just is in a really good spot. They'll capture that swing, they'll capture that data, and that'll be kind of the baseline for their swing. So future lessons, if they go awry, let's compare this current swing to where you were, and let's see where you need to get back to really feel, get that feel again, where you were striping it. So really cool benchmark. And Jeehae, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what you guys did with Bryson too, was found exactly where he needed to be, and then just kept him on track for the course of those 4 days of the U.S. Open.
Yeah, I mean, when I was playing professionally, I would go through good days and good weeks, right, where I felt like I can reliably hit the ball well. Or actually, I one week I made the cut at the LPG championship. It was a major. I was pretty happy about it. I was hitting the ball well. And then it was Saturday, and I swear to you, everything went 20 yards shorter. Everything. Like my pitching wedge went 20 yards shorter than it was supposed to. And I felt like I was making the exact same swing. To me, it felt the same. I ate the same breakfast. I walked the same number of steps to get to the range. Like had the same pre-shot routine. Like all of this, everything looked and felt the same. And yet I was hitting it 20 yards shorter. Why? Like there's got to be something I'm doing differently with my swing, but I couldn't feel it. Nobody can see it. If I had Sportsbox to tell me, I wouldn't have gone on a search. You know what I mean? Like that could be the start of a very long search for a player. Like, oh my gosh, like what am I doing? And then you start tinkering this and that have nothing to do with what the root cause of the problem is. And then you just lost 3 months of good golf, right? So that's the problem we want to solve.
Well, I think that's super interesting too, in the sense that like there's work you can do in your swing on the range and practice and all that. But once you get out on the golf course, your reaction to anxiety could make your numbers change drastically. You probably don't move as freely. And, potentially those things pop up, and that's likely, one of those things that could cause a total difference in what your output is. So that's an interesting,
Yeah.
kind of example.
Yeah, it drove me crazy. And
Yeah.
yeah.
And
Finally
Jeehae,
made a cut in a major, you know.
Yeah.
Just real quick, you were go with Top Golf, very innovative. That comes on the scene now with Sportsbox, very innovative. You are sort of like me. I love to be out in front, innovative. I'm always trying to, as much as I like history, I want to see and I want to try to look and see what's coming down the pipe. Any thoughts there on technology, the game, just anything that you see that might be coming down, innovation wise, technology wise?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we're gonna think about Sportsbox's role in innovating in golf. But more generally speaking, I think the hyper personalization of what helps somebody get better is what's going to be like driving, I guess, innovation for golfers in the future. So what I mean by that is there's a lot of great generalized knowledge about how to improve somebody's game. So like go on YouTube, search any topic, you can get, 70 million hours of video on that topic, but it's all generalized information, right? How to fix a slice. Well, like generally, like this is a physics of a slice. But I think with technology like ours and others out there, we are able to quickly personalize that type of information to what is tailored to your needs in a way that's never been possible before. So
Can
that's what.
you can you add something in there as a PGA pro running a facility like Alan does? Could you personalize it to say, move up a tee or three tees? You shouldn't be on the blue tee, you idiot.
Yeah, I mean, actually, you say that, that's funny, but we are um we have the handicap system in golf, right? Like it tells you what you're capable of shooting as a result. But when it comes to the ability to hit the ball, there's no objective way to like, create levels for people. And Sportsbox, I think, is we're working on some ways to give people the ability to assess where they are, like in terms of ability to generate speed, ability to hit a consistent, impact, um, and also like that consistency metric I talked about with Bryson, like how repeatable is your golf swing, to give you a good picture of how good of a ball striker is this person, how capable are they of playing from the four tees or the middle tees or whatever have you. Are they capable of playing at a high level in high school or college or beyond? Do they have the potential to do that? Like these are the things that we are working on.
Nice.
Yeah, and we could see this too being a very good tool for college recruiting, right? So if we can get the college player or the high school players to use Sportsbox and the college coach can see their swing and kind of evaluate where the numbers are. Not only do they see their scores in tournaments, but they also can see, their swing and their swing potential. So it's a great recruiting tool. And also switching gears too, we're getting into the baseball category as well. So not only
Yeah.
in golf, but in baseball, we'll have the ability to analyze the baseball swing and compare it to the top swings in the game, baseball and softball. So that's an exciting category for us that we're getting into, and just shows the versatility of our technology isn't just golf; it's body movement, right? So if we can continue down the path of baseball and then other sports and physical therapy, there's sky's the limit for what we can do. We're not sports golf; we're sports box, right? So we didn't pigeonhole us into just golf, but obviously we're focused on that right now.
Hey, Chris, just before, because we're going to move on to the Solheim Cup just briefly, but it's funny you say college because I was literally sitting here thinking, and I'm looking at Christian and going, how useful would it have been for you, Christian,
Oh,
up in Niagara where there's snow on the ground 6 months out of the year to have access to something like this while you're practicing indoors?
it would have been amazing to have it. Just to have something like that where you obviously don't are not outside for 6+ months, right? I think it would have been incredible to have something like this. And I find all of it fascinating. I know I've been quiet tonight, but I find all of this just because you can take it in so many different avenues. Do you know what I mean? You can just keep digging further and further into it. And I think, college is going to be huge personally because those kids, especially that want to make it to the next level, they're going to have to get very statistical with their swings, right? And I think that's very key to have that. So, yeah, I would love to have had this in college. And I'm not saying it would have made me a better player, but I'm saying I think it would have. But like I would have gotten more shoulder turn than Alan would at the end of the day. No, I'm just
All right,
kidding. But
so the Solheim Cup is going to RTJ. Let's move on to that real quick. And actually, it's great. Gee, I'd love to hear your impression of how that's going to bake out this year.
I'm super excited to watch the showdown because they have such strong players on both sides. I think
Agreed. Yeah.
I mean there's so many stars on the US team. We don't have to name each one of them, but obviously Nelly is somebody everyone enjoys watching. She'll put on a great show. But on the Europe team, you've got stars like Lynn Grant, who has a sick golf swing. I mean, incredible move and ball striker, and Carlotta, who is one of Jorge Prada's students or players. He's a longtime Sportsbox coach and ambassador. She's a really exciting player. I played one round of golf with her way, way, way back when she was just coming out as a player. And I don't think she ever touched the driver. I think she had a driving iron and she was out driving me by like 20, 30 yards every single hole. So amazing golfer. Really, really fun to watch. And it'll be interesting. I mean, it's on US soil, so obviously there's a little advantage there. But yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Events and venues, right, Andy? Robert Trent Jones playing host to
That's my thing. Events and venues.
Yeah, I actually played a golf last year for like as a golf outing, like friendly outing. Great golf course.
amazing golf course. Actually, as Bobby knows, I actually grew up about 10 minutes from there. So Mid Atlantic section puts on a good welcoming that event, right, Bobby?
Oh yeah, it'll be a good one. I was curious also, Jeehae, to get your feedback on the Curtis Cup and the GB&I team looked really, really strong. The next wave, the next generation of golfers. I mean, it can exciting matches on both sides. I mean, it just the players, male or female, keep getting better and better.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, unfortunately I didn't watch too much of the Curtis Cup. I understand that GB&I came back to win in a dramatic fashion. I think European players just have a leg up in terms of match play. Because they just grew up doing that more. But with the US, as you guys probably know, the USGA and the US national team being actually like formalized and putting a lot of resources towards developing young talent in the US. I think we'll see more and more great US players representing the country at these various international events.
Andy, it's your time. It's your favorite time.
Is it the hot seat time?
It is.
So
Nice.
okay, I'm gonna go back and forth with both of you.
I'm nervous. What is this about?
You should be really nervous today. You haven't
I gotta
done
go,
many
guys.
things in
Good
your
to see
life
ya.
that have been-
It's like a downhill slider on like green stimping 15.
Perfect. I love downhill sliders.
Okay, so this first question's really difficult. So Jeehae, what's your lowest 18-hole score?
I'm 65 in a tournament.
Chris?
68 after going out on a bachelor party and getting no sleep, like literally no sleep. I went out and shot 2 under because I probably couldn't have the ability to think and just let the swing go and shot 68.
Nice.
Haven't come close since, by the way, so I think I know what the formula is.
That 65 was a course record where I played. It was wild. I don't know how that's possible, but it was one of my shining accomplishments as a professional. One of my only accomplishments.
Okay, Jeehae, what are your 3 favorite golf courses that you played?
I always say Lake Merced first because I mean there's a lot of ways to define favorite, right? The coolest, whatever, the historic. Like I played fancy places, but as a favorite place, like where I want to play, go over and over and over again, like for the rest of my life, like Lake Merced is up there. And then a recent favorite is the Creek club in Long Island. I don't know if you guys have ever played that, but honestly, nobody talks about it. This is a crazy thing. Like everyone talks about the famous places in the Hamptons when it comes to cool golf courses in New York area. Nobody talks about the creek, and it is the most stunning, like fun golf course I have ever played. And I got to play it over the summer. And then the third, I'll say Yale because
Good
go
one,
Yale.
Chris.
Yeah, she's a bulldog. I mean, Cypress Point has to be on top of the list. Played there, and my buddy's wedding. Andy, you know my buddy really well,
Yeah.
Bosworth. Actually played with Stuart Scott that day, which was a really cool experience. And just having the caddy and the first tee of being right next to the little clubhouse, and a bunch of people watching. Just a really really cool experience. Next one would be Medina, and that was great course, perfect day, great people that I played with. Like the whole experience was just kind of went into it, which was just on the top of the list. And then I actually just came back from a golf trip. I think I played 2 rounds up until 3 weeks ago, and then I just played 4 rounds in the course of 3 days. But played Whistling Straits, Erin Hills, and Erin Hills was unbelievable. Just a really we were the first ones out. It's like we had the whole course to ourselves. I birdied 3 of the first 4 holes. Not bad for a hooper. But then I regained consciousness and shot like 82. But yeah, it was just phenomenal. So I'll go with those 3.
Okay, now we're gonna flip the script and tell me the 3 courses you haven't played, Jeehae, that you'd like to.
Interesting. I mean, I guess Augusta. I've never played Augusta. Um, I'm not a big, like I don't have a golf course bucket list. And I think it's because like for me, golf now is so much more about like who I play with more than like anything else, how I play or where I played. Um, but I guess Augusta would be up there. Where else? Chris, you go.
You can boot
Can't
you
All
think
right,
can
of
I'll
boot the
it.
go.
last 2. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Chris.
Augusta would be number one for me. Just obviously all the history and seeing the tournaments and being there. Shinnecock would be one. Sean Quinlivan, who's the professional there, he's now a big Sportsbox user, and I've seen what he's done and what kind of influence he has in the golf community and the golf coaching community coming from Shinnecock. So I just love to be able to experience that. And then the third one would be the Stanwich Club in Greenwich. I caddied there as a kid a couple of times in tournaments, and just absolutely loved the aura of the course itself. Never got a chance to play, so I think I'd put that in my list.
All right, Chris, we'll start with you on this one. The 3 best golfers of all time, no order.
Oh my gosh, Andy Hydorn,
That's right.
that's one.
You can order that.
Yep. Um, yeah, I mean Tiger, Jack, Andy. No, in that order.
Okay, Jeehae.
I mean, I would put Annika in there. She won crazy number of tournaments. Tiger, obviously. Um, yeah, and I would put someone like Rory up there just because yes, he doesn't have quite the number of majors and tournaments, but I'm just such a fan. I think he's number one. His golf swing is the greatest thing. Greatest athletic movement that a human body can generate, in my opinion. And I think he's a classy guy. So
Love it. Okay, what's the best part of your game?
nothing. I mean, more
When
recently,
you're playing.
when I was playing, I could hit the ball straighter than anybody else. I would hit every green, every fairway. So yeah.
Okay. Chris?
Putting for me, and I used a original bullseye putter for the longest of years that I got in a trade when I was caddying back in Connecticut, and used that putter through college, even like working for TaylorMade for a bunch of years. I'd not in company events, I'd be using the bullseye whenever I could. So that helped me putt the ball very well. So I'd say putting.
Awesome. So, what skill, Chris, we'll start with you on this one. What skill is most important to play good golf?
To me, it's the short game, 100 yards and in, being able to score, being able to recover, being able to, to roll the rock and make the putts when you need to make the putts. So yeah, it's definitely 100 yards and in.
Okay, Jeehae?
I would say driving for majority of the golfers, and then like once you get to a certain level, then it becomes putting, because
Okay,
putting can like really kill momentum if you just not making the putts. So
all right. Okay, who's your favorite golfer, past or present?
Yeah, GA.
I'll say Lydia Ko because I recently went on a golf trip with her, and she's just the loveliest person in the entire world. So
Awesome answer. Chris?
Yeah, I can't beat that. So I'll go with her answer.
Okay, this question is my favorite. So quickly describe, we'll go with you first, Chris. Quickly describe the best shot you've ever hit, time, place, and situation.
this is so easy
Wow.
for me.
It is
Wow.
for most people.
All right, GA, you go because I need to think about this.
Okay. So this is LPGA school, final stage, and like to give you the full context, like I was a very mediocre junior golfer, amateur golfer. Like I had accomplished nothing, like jack all as a amateur golfer. Never won a single thing in my entire life. Like that's still true. Like I've won one member guest. That's it. As a, and so like squeaked by literally the last person to get in, make it through the first stage to get to final stage. And I literally had no business being there, let alone like playing in the final round for the card. And by some miracle, I was like right around like top 10 going into the final round. I was like just outside the top 10 and top 20 get their card. So I was like in it. I was like really good. And it was a horrible day, like super windy, 45, degrees, cold, rainy. It was awful. But like somehow I managed my way. I think I was like one under par going into the final hole. And so I was like safely in, but the final hole, Daytona Beach, LPGA International is this like pretty treacherous par five with like hazard all along the left. Like you can't pull any of your shots or you're dead, right? So hit my driver. I think it's par five. Anyway, my approach shot was like 45-yard shot into the green. The pin is like the green is a little bit elevated, and I just like hit my knockdown seven, and it hit the pin and like stopped like 2 inches away from the cup. And my caddy turns to me and she goes, "Welcome to the LPGA Tour."
Nice.
Oh man,
That's
And I was
awesome.
like,
it's got the skills, GA. Nice.
Beat
so
that,
bad.
Chris. Beat
That's a good
that.
one.
Yeah, yeah. Good luck. For me, it was so I worked for Nike Golf for a lot of years, and Tiger was at a few of our events and sales meetings. And one time he was on the course with the whole group, and he stayed at one hole. He was injured, shockingly, and he just stayed at one hole. We had a DJ there, and there's a bar there. It was like a par three, so he just stayed there, and all the groups would hit into the hole, and then he would chip and putt with those group. Really cool. So I get to the tee, and Tiger's 150 yards away, watching us hit golf balls into this hole, and I was shaking. And I'm like, oh my God, the best player in the world is watching me hit a golf ball. Of course, he didn't care what I was going to do, but I was able to hit it pretty well, hit it to 10 feet. And yeah, he was like, "See, Ray, nice shot." So it was a pretty cool experience with Tiger right there.
That's awesome. So, quickly, what do you cherish most about the game of golf?
For me, it's the ability to spend time with the people I love, honestly. That's what it is. It's such a great way to spend time with people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for me, it's, I grew up caddying, working in the bag room, working in the pro shop, picking the range, cutting greens, cutting fairways. Just the peacefulness of the golf course in the morning. Nothing beats it. I mean, it's just it's just a serenity feel. And, I'm a huge, obviously, passion for the game, but just being able to get out there early and just enjoy the day, enjoy the people you're with, enjoy life. It's hard to beat.
Okay, 19th hole question. How many holes in one does Jeehae have to her name?
We're all guessing this.
Wait,
No,
Andy,
she's
do you
gonna
know the
tell
name?
us.
Do you know
We
the
should guess.
answer?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'd say 4. What do you guys think?
6.
I'm gonna say 2.
3.
I guess I'm picking 5 then.
I've only had
Well-
one. You guys are all right.
Oh,
Yeah.
good one.
Yeah, I've had more shot eagles, like, fairway eagles, but an actual one I've only had one.
Chris?
Not one.
No.
Not one.
I think they're easier for short people though.
Yeah, 6'7". You can't. It's tough to
Yeah.
pull a one at 6'7".
Christian, you
I
got
can shoot the rock though, Andy. I can shoot the rock like it's nobody's business. So
Oh, I know that. I know
there you
that.
go.
Okay, you guys survived the Quiet Please hot seat. Well played.
Nice. Golf
And
clap.
on that note, Bobby, 18th green. Final thoughts.
Final thought real quickly is, I know it's been a little bit of time, but Sahith Theegala, what he did, it reinforces everything about the game of golf. Both of you had such eloquent description about what you love about the game, but Rule 12 2B, testing the sand, rears its ugly head. They may want to look at a change to that. I can't imagine he was testing anything, but anyways, nobody in the world but one person saw or felt that, and that cost him, I think, $2.5 million. But he probably gained hundreds of millions and more fans and just goodwill. Hopefully, the golf gods are with him.
Christian?
So first and foremost, thank you both for coming on. I again, like I mentioned earlier, found this very fascinating, and I have to download the app myself because now I'm curious kind of how my swing and like the stats behind it, and I'm gonna definitely be comparing it to the boys, obviously on the show. But I think what you guys are doing is incredible. I hope to talk again further about this. I apologize for being quiet earlier in the show, but again, what you guys are doing is absolutely phenomenal. And I think it's only going to be, the next generation of golf moving forward. So,
Awesome.
Chris?
I would say we need to get more caddies back in the game. I grew up caddying. I grew up, the experience of caddying, of getting to know people on the golf course, of just, all different kinds of life and the etiquette and the respect for the game. It goes, a long way. I started when I was 15, right? And it got me into the game, got me the passion for the game. So wherever we can, whatever any golf course that can do it, I think we need to bring caddies back into the game it'll help grow the game. And I think it's a very important aspect of learning and developing and, creating long life future golfers.
Andy?
So, yeah, first, Jeehae, Chris, thanks for coming on. It's good to see you both, and I'm so happy that Sportsbox continues to just forge ahead and keeps getting better and better as time goes by. One of the things I want to kind of talk about a little bit is this new season, this new PGA Tour season that's starting this week. Last year had some really incredible stories to it. Some real heartwarming stuff that goes on this time of year, happens to the guys who are not, the silver spoon players out there. And we've talked a lot about how it's getting a little disgusting, these, limited field events with no cuts and tons of money. And I get it why they do it, but honestly, this fall season has a lot of great golf to it, a lot of heart, a lot of heartache. So it's fun to watch, and I'll be looking forward to the next few weeks of that.
Jeehae?
I have a lot of thoughts, but one thing I wanted to point out along the site Tagala comment was, did you guys notice that in the field of 30 at the Tour Championship, 10% were of Indian descent between Akshay, Bhatia, Aaron Rai, and Sai Tagala.
Did
And
not know that.
my husband is Indian, so he and I were very, very proud of the fact that the game has globalized and there's representation from all these different ethnic groups and places in the world, and that's what grows a game, right? PGA Tour's got to love that a country of 1.5 billion people are probably caring more about, they're becoming fans of the product because of those individuals in the Tour Championship. So I hope that trend keeps going.
And that's why my idea, Andy, for the Olympics is exactly what needs to happen next go round. All right.
We've all agreed to that.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So I'm going to go completely off of golf for a second. I just have to pay respects to James Earl Jones passed away this past week. And we talk about legends respecting. You got to respect him as an actor. And I was a Star Wars geek and Mufasa and all those things. And rest in peace to a legend. So both of you, thank you so much. I look forward to testing my new stretching and exercise program that I'll be implementing, and maybe I'll get to 70 degrees. Until next week. Till next week, boys.